Most people begin their morning with something they believe is wholesome, comforting, and harmless. A warm bowl of oatmeal. Simple, familiar, a ritual passed down from parents and grandparents. It feels like nourishment, like a gentle way to start the day. But what most people don't realize is that the way they prepare that oatmeal may be silently aggravating the very arteries they're trying to protect. The moment the spoon dips into that bowl, the body is already responding. Blood sugar rises sharply, inflammation whispers through the bloodstream, and the delicate lining of your arteries, those tiny, intelligent tubes that work tirelessly to keep you alive, is pushed into a state of stress. And all of this is happening while you believe you're making a healthy choice. This is the hidden story of everyday foods. The intention is good, but the execution quietly works against your biology. The truth is that oatmeal on its own is not the problem. It's what happens when most people load it with quick-burning carbohydrates, bananas, honey, sugar, dried fruits, flavored packets, and all the small healthy toppings that create a metabolic storm. Instead of stabilizing you, breakfast becomes a spark that ignites inflammation, stiffens arteries, and encourages the formation of plaque over time. And the saddest part is that people don't feel it happening. There's no warning signal, no immediate pain. You simply go on with your day while microscopic changes take place inside your arterial walls. But here's the part that surprises almost everyone. It doesn't have to be this way. The same bowl of oatmeal, yes, the very one you already enjoy, can become a completely different kind of meal. It can shift from inflammatory to healing, from sugar spiking to stabilizing, from damaging to restorative. And the transformation doesn't require a complicated recipe, a special diet, or an expensive supplement. It requires one natural ingredient, one addition so simple, so accessible, that you might walk past it in the store every week without realizing the metabolic power it carries. Imagine taking the first warm bite in the morning, and instead of triggering inflammation, you're sending a signal to your arteries to relax, expand, and breathe. Imagine nourishing the endothelial lining, the delicate inner layer of your arteries, so it becomes smoother, more flexible, more capable of carrying blood without resistance. Imagine lowering the spikes that damage blood vessels and instead creating a slow, steady release of energy that keeps you full for hours. This isn't fantasy, it's physiology. And it begins with the chemistry of one ingredient that fundamentally changes the way your oatmeal behaves in your body. I want you to picture your arteries for a moment. Not as rigid pipes, but as living, responsive tissues. They stretch, contract, heal, repair, and communicate with every beat of your heart. When they become inflamed, they tighten. When they tighten, blood pressure rises. When sugar surges too quickly, damage occurs. When damage occurs, the body tries to repair it. And that repair process often becomes plaque. Day after day, year after year, the cycle continues unnoticed. But when you introduce the right nutrients at the right time, especially first thing in the morning when your metabolism is most sensitive, those arteries respond quickly. They open, they soften, they clear more efficiently. They stop signaling the body to lay down more plaque. The ingredient we're building toward works at this level, deep inside the vascular system. It slows digestion, stabilizes blood glucose, reduces inflammation, and protects the arterial lining from oxidative stress. This means that instead of your oatmeal acting like a sugary rush, it becomes a sustained release fuel source. Your insulin stays steady, your arteries stay calm, your metabolism shifts gears from storage to healing. Most people don't realize how much breakfast shapes their entire cardiovascular day. If you start with a spike, your body spends hours trying to recover. If you start with stability, every metabolic pathway feels the benefit. And what makes this ingredient so powerful is that it doesn't just reduce the negative effects of oatmeal. It flips them into positives. Instead of contributing to plaque formation, it supports plaque reduction. Instead of promoting endothelial irritation, it encourages endothelial healing. Instead of leaving you hungry and inflamed, it leaves you full and protected, and it's remarkable how subtle the change feels. There's no dramatic taste difference, no strange texture, no sense that you're doing something unnatural. In fact, once you begin adding it, you may notice that you feel calmer after breakfast. Your energy lasts longer, cravings shrink, your digestion becomes smoother. These are early signs that your metabolic switches are turning in the right direction, that your arteries are experiencing less pressure and less oxidative strain, that your body is shifting into a more balanced state. What makes this so exciting is the simplicity. You're not being asked to abandon your routines or completely reinvent your diet. You're simply being shown how to upgrade something you already eat, something you already enjoy, into a tool for vascular healing. And in a world where heart disease is still the silent epidemic, where people are trying desperately to protect themselves with medications, diets, and supplements, it feels almost unbelievable that a single addition to your morning oatmeal could make such a meaningful difference. But that's the magic of understanding how food interacts with the body. When you give your system what it needs, it responds beautifully. When you pair the right foods together, you create synergy. And when you start your day with a healing combination instead of an inflammatory one, you create momentum. Momentum that carries into your afternoon, your evening, and eventually your long-term health. So as we move forward, keep this in mind. The transformation is not about restriction, it's about alignment. Aligning your breakfast with your biology. Aligning your choices with what your arteries crave. Aligning your daily habits with the chemistry of healing rather than the chemistry of harm. And when you discover the ingredient that unlocks this transformation, you'll never look at your morning oatmeal the same way again. Most people imagine clogged arteries as something that happens suddenly, almost like a pipe getting blocked overnight. But the truth is far quieter, far slower, and far more connected to everyday habits than people realize. Arteries don't close because of one heavy meal or one bad food choice. They narrow because of small, repeated stresses that chip away at the inner lining day after day. It's the biological version of erosion, gentle at first, invisible for years, but incredibly powerful over time. At the center of this process is inflammation. Not the kind you feel when you twist your ankle, but a chronic, low-grade inflammation that simmers beneath the surface. Imagine the inner walls of your arteries like smooth, soft velvet, designed to allow blood to glide effortlessly through. When your blood sugar spikes sharply, or when certain inflammatory foods are eaten repeatedly, that velvet becomes irritated. It's like rubbing the same spot of fabric again and again until it frays. Those frayed areas are tiny, almost microscopic, but your body notices. It tries to patch the damage, and that patching process is what begins plaque. The second major player is oxidative stress. Think of oxidative stress as biological rusting, caused by unstable molecules called free radicals. They're produced naturally, but they multiply when we're under metabolic strain. Too much sugar, too little movement, not enough restorative sleep. When free radicals build up, they begin attacking the delicate endothelial cells lining your arteries. It's as if the highway that carries your blood is slowly pitted by tiny sparks, weakening the surface. Over time, the body lays down more patch material, which includes cholesterol. Not because cholesterol is the villain, but because your body is trying to protect you. Then comes insulin. Many people think insulin is only about blood sugar, but insulin also influences inflammation and how your body stores fat. When you start your morning with a surge of carbs, sweetened oatmeal, fruit-heavy breakfasts, pastries, or sugary drinks, your insulin shoots up to control the spike. High insulin, repeated daily, sends a message to your body to store, not burn. It stiffens arteries, encourages fat accumulation around them, and increases the likelihood of damage. It's like pressing too hard on a garden hose. The pressure builds, the walls strain, and the chance of wear and tear increases. Most people don't feel any of this happening. There's no pain when inflammation starts, no alarm when oxidative stress rises, no sensation when insulin spikes become the norm. Instead, the arteries slowly lose their flexibility. They stop expanding and contracting easily. They become more like brittle tubes than living, responsive tissues. And once flexibility is lost, plaque forms faster. Daily life contributes more than people realize. Stress, poor sleep, skipped meals followed by sugary snacks, late night eating, processed foods, long hours sitting. Every one of these adds a small nudge toward inflammation or oxidative stress. And the body, trying to protect itself, creates little patches, little repairs. These repairs eventually thicken, they harden, they narrow the pathway. This is how most people develop arterial plaque without ever knowing anything was wrong. The good news is that the same slow process that builds plaque can also reverse it when the environment changes. When the body experiences steadier blood sugar, lower inflammation, better fuel, and calmer internal chemistry, the arteries begin to relax again. The inner lining begins to repair itself more cleanly. Oxidative stress decreases. Insulin becomes more stable. The velvet-like smoothness can return. Understanding this gentle, slow progression is what makes lifestyle changes powerful. It's not about fear. It's about awareness, realizing that what you do each morning, each afternoon, and each evening shapes your arteries quietly. And once you know what causes the wear and tear, it becomes much easier to choose the things that help them heal. For many people, breakfast feels like a moment of intention. You sit down with something warm, something familiar, and you believe you're doing the right thing. And oatmeal, at first glance, really does seem like the perfect choice. It's comforting, easy to prepare, and often recommended as heart-healthy. But the reality is that the way most people prepare their oatmeal completely changes how it behaves in the body. What starts as a gentle, nourishing grain quickly becomes a sugary rush. It inflames arteries and sends the metabolism into chaos. And most people never realize it's happening. It begins with the small habits that have become normal. A spoonful of sugar or honey to make it sweeter. A banana sliced on top because it feels healthy. A handful of dried fruit for flavor or texture. A flavored instant oatmeal packet with added sugars already mixed in. None of these choices look harmful on their own. In fact, they're often thought of as wholesome. But when combined in one bowl, they create a breakfast that behaves more like dessert than fuel. The body responds instantly. Glucose rises sharply. Insulin follows. Inflammation flickers awake. The arteries feel the surge. What many people don't see is the chemistry behind these choices. Oatmeal, especially quick oats or instant oats, digests quickly. This means it converts to glucose fast. When you add sugar-heavy toppings, you amplify that effect. It's like pouring lighter fluid on a flame. The smoother the oat and the sweeter the bowl, the faster your blood sugar climbs. And every rapid climb is a stress signal to your arteries. The inner lining becomes irritated the same way skin becomes red when rubbed too hard. It's invisible from the outside, but inside the vessels, the inflammation is real. Another hidden issue is the use of processed fats, flavored creamers, certain nut butters with added oils, or butter substitutes that contain inflammatory seed oils. These fats don't blend gently into your metabolism. They add oxidative pressure, making the arterial lining more vulnerable to the sugar spike happening at the same time. It's a double hit. Inflammation from sugar meets inflammation from poor quality fats. And the arteries absorb the impact quietly. Even healthy intentions can backfire. For example, adding fruit is not inherently bad, but combining fast digesting oats with multiple high sugar. Our fruits creates a breakfast. Your body can't slow down. It overwhelms the system before the day has even begun. People often mistake this rush for energy, but it's not stable energy, it's a spike. And what rises quickly must fall quickly. The crash that follows leaves you hungry, craving more sugar, and unknowingly repeating the cycle before lunch. This is how a simple bowl of oatmeal, prepared the wrong way, shifts from supportive to stressful. And it happens without judgment, without intention, without awareness. People aren't doing anything wrong. They're simply following habits they believed were healthy. They're trusting familiar choices. But the body doesn't interpret breakfast the same way the mind does. The body responds to chemistry, not intentions. The good news is that once you understand how these combinations affect your arteries, it becomes easy to adjust them. Just a few small changes can turn oatmeal back into a stabilizing, healing food instead of a metabolic burden. And the difference you feel, steady energy, calm digestion, fewer cravings, becomes a gentle reminder that when you support your biology supports you right back. The ingredient that changes everything is ground flaxseed. Not whole seeds, not flax oil, just finely ground flaxseed, because that's the form your body can actually absorb. It looks simple, almost unimpressive, just a soft golden or brown powder. But inside that powder is one of the most powerful natural combinations of omega-3 fats, soluble fiber, plant lignans, and antioxidant compounds you can put into your body first thing in the morning. And when it meets oatmeal, the entire metabolic story shifts. Flaxseed is rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 that quietly cools down inflammation inside the arteries. These omega-3s are gentle but consistent. They don't act like a quick fix, they act like a saint. Eddy calming force that reduces the irritation caused by blood sugar spikes. This means the delicate endothelial lining, the part of your arteries responsible for expanding and contracting, can breathe a little easier. It becomes more flexible, more responsive, more protected. Then there's the soluble fiber in ground flaxseed, which is one of its most powerful gifts. Soluble fiber behaves almost like a sponge in the digestive tract. It slows the absorption of glucose, turning your oatmeal from a fast-burning carb into a slow, steady source of fuel. That single shift, slower digestion, changes everything. Without the rapid glucose surge, insulin doesn't spike. When insulin stays steady, inflammation stays lower. Your arteries feel the difference immediately. Oatmeal alone digests quickly, but oatmeal with flaxseed digests with patience. What makes flaxseed unique is its lignans, plant compounds that act as antioxidants and support healthier lipid profiles. They help reduce oxidative stress, the same biological rusting that damages arterial walls. With less oxidative stress, the body has fewer reasons to create plaque as a repair material. And over time, this creates an environment where plaque buildup slows, and existing plaque becomes more stable and less dangerous. This is where the idea of artery cleansing begins. Not through scraping or flushing, but through reducing the conditions that cause plaque to form in the first place. Flaxseed also influences nitric oxide production indirectly by reducing inflammation and supporting a healthier endothelial layer. When the endothelium is calm and nourished, it produces more nitric oxide, a natural chemical that helps arteries relax. Relaxed arteries mean better blood flow, lower blood pressure, and less strain on the entire cardiovascular system. Oatmeal alone doesn't trigger this effect. But when flaxseed is added, you win. Introduce a nutrient that helps the arteries behave more like they're designed to, flexible, open, cooperative. The contrast between oatmeal alone and oatmeal with flaxseed is almost like the difference between sprinting and walking. One is rushed, sharp, and stressful. The other is controlled, steady, and restorative. Oatmeal by itself acts quickly, raising blood sugar fast and fading fast. But with flaxseed, the glucose enters slowly, the insulin stays calm, the digestion is balanced, and the arteries stay relaxed instead of irritated. People often notice the shift before they fully understand it. They feel fuller longer. Their energy stays smooth instead of crashing mid-morning. Their cravings soften. Their digestion becomes more regular because flaxseed adds bulk and supports gut health. But the real transformation is happening deeper, where the arteries are quietly protected by the omega-3 seconds, soothed by the antioxidants, and supported by the fiber that prevents blood sugar turmoil. What makes this ingredient so powerful is not that it's exotic or rare, but that it's simple. You don't need much, just a tablespoon or two stirred into your warm oatmeal. That small amount changes the metabolic response of the entire meal. It turns breakfast into a slow, nourishing release of energy instead of a spike and crash cycle. And with every morning you add it, you're giving your arteries a gentler environment, a calmer chemistry, and a better chance to stay clear and flexible. Oatmeal on its own is good, but oatmeal with ground flaxseed becomes something entirely different. A quiet, consistent ally for your cardiovascular health. Begin by choosing the right base. If you want the slowest, gentlest digestion, pick steel-cut or old-fashioned rolled oats rather than instant packets, because their structure slows digestion and helps your blood sugar stay steady. Measure about 1/2 cup of oats and cook them in water or unsweetened milk of your choice until tender. When the porridge is done, take the pot off the heat and let it sit for a minute so it's warm rather than scalding. This is important because the delicate plant oils in flaxseed can be sensitive to very high heat. Now add your ground flaxseed. Start with 1 tablespoon if you're new to it and work up to 2 tablespoons over a week. Sprinkle it in and stir well so it disperses evenly through the warm oats. Use freshly ground flaxseed or a commercial milled flaxseed stored in the fridge. Whole seeds pass through undigested, and pre-ground flax will keep its nutrients only if kept cool and airtight. Store your bag or jar in the refrigerator or freezer in a sealed container to prevent the oils from turning rancid, and buy small amounts every few weeks so you're always using fresh powder. To preserve benefits and improve satiety, pair the flax-enriched oatmeal with a modest source of protein and a healthy fat. A scoop of plain Greek yogurt, a spoonful of nut butter without added seed oils, or a few chopped nuts, because protein and fat slow gastric emptying, blunt insulin response, and keep you feeling full longer. If you like sweetness, choose low glycemic options, a few berries, a dash of cinnamon, or a tiny smear of mashed banana rather than syrupy toppings. Cinnamon itself can help moderate the post-meal glucose rise. Drink a full glass of water with your breakfast, since soluble fiber in flax absorbs water and helps create that steady gel in the gut that slows sugar absorption. Increasing your water prevents any discomfort as fiber intake rises. Make this a ritual rather than a one-off experiment. Aim to have the flaxseed in your morning meal most days because consistent exposure is what changes the metabolic environment around your arteries over time. On busy mornings, prepare a stove. Eat up or overnight batch and portion it into jars. Add the flaxseed and any delicate toppings, yogurt, fresh fruit just before eating so volatile oils and heat-sensitive compounds aren't unnecessarily exposed. If you take medication or have specific digestive issues, introduce flax gradually and note how you feel. A mild increase in bowel movement frequency is normal as the fiber does its work, but stop and consult a clinician if you experience significant discomfort. Finally, pair this upgraded breakfast with supportive habits. A short walk after eating to encourage glucose uptake by muscles, consistent sleep to lower baseline inflammation, and minimizing late-night snacking so morning metabolism starts from a steadier place. Each small habit reinforces the metabolic reasoning behind the meal, turning a simple bowl of oatmeal into a gentle, sustainable practice that nourishes your arteries day after day. There's something deeply reassuring about discovering that healing doesn't have to be dramatic or complex. In a world full of extreme diets, conflicting advice, and trends that come and go, it's almost surprising to realize that one of the most powerful tools for supporting your arteries is as simple as adding a tablespoon of ground flaxseed to a familiar bowl of oatmeal. Yet this simplicity is exactly why it works so well. It fits into the body's natural rhythms, respects human biology, and feels like something your ancestors would recognize. A warm morning meal enriched with a nutrient-dense seed, nothing artificial, nothing forced, nothing disconnected from nature. When you take that warm bowl into your hands each morning, you're doing more than eating breakfast. You're giving your arteries a chance to relax instead of tightening. You're choosing stable energy instead of metabolic chaos. You're letting your body wake up calmly without the shock of a sugar surge. This doesn't just feel better in the moment, it creates a cascade of changes that ripple through your entire system. Lower inflammation, improved blood flow, steadier insulin, and a metabolic environment that stops encouraging plaque and starts supporting healing. All from a habit simple enough to repeat every day without effort. This is the quiet power of aligning your choices with your biology. Human beings didn't evolve with packaged snacks, sweetened breakfasts, or heavily processed morning foods. We evolved with whole grains, seeds, nuts, and natural fats. Foods that release energy slowly and nourish the body with fiber, antioxidants, and essential fatty acids. When you add flaxseed to your oatmeal, you're tapping into that ancestral model of nourishment. You're giving your body something it immediately knows how to use. And that biological recognition is why the results feel so natural. There's no struggle, no deprivation, no complicated routine to follow. Just a rhythm your metabolism understands. And every day you repeat this simple ritual, you reinforce a message to your body. Slow down, heal, strengthen. You begin to trust your own biology again. You realize that clearing arteries isn't about chasing perfection or punishing yourself with strict diets. It's about gentle consistency. Small, informed choices made steadily over time, the kind of choices that feel warm, grounding, and doable, not just today, but for the rest of your life. This is where long-term vitality truly begins, not in grand gestures, but in subtle shifts that honor how the body was into function. Your upgraded oatmeal becomes an anchor, a reliable act of self-care that reminds you each morning that your health is not controlled by fate or genetics alone. You have influence, daily, meaningful influence, through habits that are both joyful and nourishing. As days turn into weeks and weeks into months, you'll notice not only the physical changes, but the emotional shift as well. There's a confidence that grows when you realize you're taking charge of your future in a way that feels peaceful instead of overwhelming. A kind of empowerment that comes from knowing you're supporting your arteries, your metabolism, and your longevity with something as unassuming as a spoonful of seeds. And that's the deeper message hidden inside this simple ritual. Healing doesn't always ask for struggle. Sometimes it asks for consistency, awareness, and a return to the uncomplicated foods that humans have thrived on for generations. Each bowl becomes a reminder that your body is capable of repair, your choices matter, and your long-term vitality can grow from the simplest moments of your day.